Hey everyone, I am Christina Reisinger from ChristinaReisinger.com, and my husband Caleb and I are back again to talk to you about grief and some of our grief discussions. Today we are going to discuss kind of what happens with parenting after losing a child, and we're going to tell you some of our own experiences and how we felt about parenting our own other children after we lost Isabella. So I'm going to let him start.
Okay, sure. We'll talk about kind of our different parenting styles. Now, I'll say from the outset that Christina probably has a more reserved, cautious approach to parenting than I would, and that was true before Isabella. But I would say after Isabella, instead of being like here, we were more like, maybe outside the frame of the camera. So definitely after Isabella, her parenting became super cautious, I would say, about the other children for fear of losing another child. I kind of felt like I stayed about the same, or either worked hard to be a counterpoint to her cautiousness by being, I wouldn't say risky, but letting the kids have a lot more free reign.
Right, yeah. So what happened in my own grief journey and losing her, I was already, like he said, what you would call, I guess, a helicopter parent or something like that, and one of these that wants to make sure everybody's okay. And but after Isabella passed away, my fears intensified, and so just allowing our children any freedom to do things was just really, really difficult for me. And Caleb would, kind of try to get me to loosen up. And it's just, recently that I think I've started to let some things go. He'd probably tell you that not everything, but
No, you're doing a lot better. Doing a lot better.
So, but yeah, I was terrified to lose another child, and I think that's a very justified, valid fear. I mean, we are not supposed to have a spirit of fear. We're supposed to understand, if we are God's children, that He takes care of us, and that we are not supposed to be afraid. But as a human who had lost a child, I was very much afraid to let them live, I guess, and probably, because I know Caleb said that we should allow them to make some mistakes. We had this kind of,
absolutely. I don't think we go for undue risk, or we go certainly don't push them to do things that we know has a high potential for injury necessarily, or get hurt. And I'm not talking about like sports injuries, but like stuff that's, like I'm not going to let them bungee jump here. That's kind of. But certainly if they want to try something, like, they should do it, and I know, whether it's going, to the beach, or whether it's going on a hunting or fishing trip with me, or even stuff like, going out to the park or things like that. I know you tended to be more cautious because after Isabella passed away, like, I don't know, what happens if this happens or that happens. And
because I saw dangers everywhere. I mean, the cars on the road, that people not paying attention, and fear of someone taking your child, and just so many things that some of them seem a little irrational. Yes, things do happen, but I think that what he has taught me is that when you allow people a little bit of independence, it builds confidence. And so by holding them back, I guess maybe I was instilling my own fear and transferring it onto them, so that they're maybe more prone to get hurt, I guess.
Yeah, so we want to frame in whatever they're doing so that there's not serious, injury, but at the same time, I'm not going to rob them of an opportunity because I'm scared something might happen to them. If they want to try something, they should go for it.
Right, and really that's what it is an opportunity for growth. And I was always seeing it as something, horrific that would happen. And I think that maybe if you are a parent who has lost a child, or you're in another situation where you're grieving someone you lost, there are a certain amount of fears that you have after that loss that may go into whatever your life is now. And I want to first of all tell you, if you are in the space that I was in, that's probably pretty normal. However, just like Caleb was saying, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be in a place where you're so confined.
No.
You know, and it can be a place for growth.
Sure.
You know.
And it depends on the type of person. Certainly, you can look at statistics and you can see that the risk for things to happen is pretty low for most of the activities that I think most people would let their children participate in. Mm-hmm. So you could take that approach. For a lot of people, they don't seem to buy into the statistics and they're very emotional about it. But at the same time, you have to, and I'm not sure if everybody agrees with this, but certainly we're not in control of everything. We're in control of very little. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm not going to go let them bungee jump or do something I know is above their capability when they're still in grammar school, Mm-hmm. And that's an extreme example. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna try to frame things so that there's not a lot of risk. But at the same time, they could get hurt doing some things, but that's okay.
Right, and knowing that you have choices is not the same. Like, you making good, healthy choices, that's not the same as maintaining that control. Like he said, we have little control over a lot of things, and but you can make good choices. And so either you're making those choices for yourself or you're making them for others to help them foster a place of growth instead of a place of insecurity. That is very helpful. I mean, things can, I guess, be viewed in a lot of different perspectives, but that's kind of where we have come to. And we're not by any means lackadaisical parents. I mean, I don't want you to get that wrong idea, but we have come to kind of more of a middle ground now, I would think, where
sometimes
so sometimes, where we can, I give a little and he kind of gives a little, and we work it out.
Yeah, and I like to be like, whoa, watch, let's see what happens. And sometimes that turns out good and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's the way I think it has to be.
Yeah, and I have a hard time holding back because I want to jump in, and he's just like, wait, just watch. Let's just observe, But so what kind of tips would you tell parents who have, because it is a true fear. I mean,
what
I know
we've talked a little. Just, especially, as a couple, one may see this that the other one doesn't see. And the tipper is going to be when you see the parent who's struggling and is fearful now for their other children is when. And hopefully it's just one. I mean, it's going to be hard if it's both parents that are like this. But if something that you would have done before, now you feel like you can't do it, then that's an easy giveaway that you've changed and now you're being perhaps fearful when you shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. If you let your kid do something before and it wasn't a big deal, and now you're like, oh no, something might happen mm-hmm. because my other child passed away, then that's a real big giveaway that maybe you're being scared and mm-hmm. you're afraid, and you need to step back and think about, like I said, you're not in control. You let them do this before. It's not something that's outside the realm of normal that they should be doing as a child. They should be doing these things, and you should be doing this with them or taking them here or there or whatever. And you just have to recognize that and try to let them go ahead and do that, and not, because what you're doing ultimately is you're hurting them.
Yeah. And again, I want to validate the fact that, it is a true concern, and it is something that I believe is probably normal. At least it was my normal. And I still struggle with it. So it's not something that I am over and that I am just, go do whatever. But what I would suggest as someone who is on that part of the spectrum as far as being the fearful one is to take it really small steps. Allow yourself to be comfortable in the uncomfortable one step at a time. And that's kind of how we grow anyways, right? So you know, by allowing a little bit and then saying, okay, well, I'm sitting in this moment and it's good, and I can allow a little bit more. And so you're growing, and you're allowing your children to grow, and your marriage is growing. So it kind of helps all the way around, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So we thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you continue to be blessed and bless others. Don't hold back from leaving comments for us. Let us know what kind of things that you'd like to hear from us, and hope that you guys are well.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.